team episodes. It's going to be Matt De La Valle, MDV, Gabe Yanes, and myself, Jason Khalipa, on the show today. And we are talking about the Pete and Bobby challenge. So I'm very intrigued on this challenge. I think it's going to gain a lot of steam. I really do. I think it's already gaining a little bit of steam. Obviously, New York Time, New York Post posted about it. New York Times, a bunch of different media outlets have talked about this. But let's break down what the challenge is, and I kind of share my take on it. So, Gabe, tell us the challenge, and then we'll dive into kind of like the specifics on the standards, areas of improvement, things that I'm thinking about in terms of it. But this is very exciting for me. I love it. I love this challenge.
Yeah, I mean it's it's funny, man. It's exciting, but there's so much debate and conversation happening about just anything even remotely related. And obviously, unfortunately, fitness has gotten political just because of Bobby Kennedy, because of like the impact that he had, or alleged impact he would have had on the election, and this whole like make America healthy again, and its ties to make America great again, and like it's unfortunate that you can't have this conversation without it coming off as like taking a side or things that people feel very strongly about, or you talk about the exercise and then it's like, well, what are other things that Bobby has said about other things that are a lot more polarizing? So all that being said, I agree with you. Like, I think that we've said this before on the podcast, like the fact that this is a conversation happening at a national level and you have like the head of HHS, which in the past, there just hasn't been a talk about fitness. You didn't have whoever the past directors of HHS had been going out and doing any sort of exercise, promoting it, talking about being in the gym. So from that perspective, I'm also very excited to have this conversation. But I think that what makes it interesting is just the fact that there's all these like mini debates going on, specifically in like our world of CrossFit, because the challenge is 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups done, broken up however you want. So it's kind of like a just get it done. And they're trying to put out this standard of like, you should be able to get that done in 10 minutes or less. And in the video of Bobby and Pete Hegseth, who's Secretary
that's
of
an aggressive,
Defense.
that's an aggressive standard. Off the bat, I'm going to say, 10 minutes.
That's no joke.
Even for me, like body weight kind of ninja looking at that, I can do it.
Stop it.
Can do it, but dude, 10 minutes for
you can do that. Your heart rate
50.
wouldn't even get past 50.
But, dude, if we're talking about putting it out there to the general public and being like, hey, you should be able to do this in 10 minutes, dude, most people are going to be hanging from that pull-up bar for 10 minutes.
That's 10 push-ups and 5 pull-ups a minute for 10 minutes. You'd be able to do that and eat a bag of popcorn,
But this is what goes into the conversation of the standards, right? Like Hiller's had a field day on the video that these guys did to launch this, because in the video, they're in the Pentagon. By the way, has a rogue rig. Very cool to see that, like, the Pentagon has this like pretty cool gym equipment in the basement. So they're in there. They have a bunch of people kind of doing the test. And obviously, if you go into it with like a CrossFit open kind of eye to it, like no one's doing like legit reps. Like it looks like push-ups and pull-ups from what you would expect from like, a gym class in the 80s. Like there's no lockout at the bottom of the pull-ups, like the push-ups, no one's going chest to deck. Even like lockout at the top is like a little bit funky. So it brings up this conversation of, is the net benefit of all the things that we talked about, we're so excited about, like the fact that the head of HHS is talking about fitness, the fact that we're like from the Instagram account of like the actual federal government saying to people, hey, you should be going to the gym, you should be working out, here's like something to actually shoot for, like all those things that I think if you would have told us 5 years ago, like, is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing, we'd be like, this is amazing, like of course we want to get there. Is that net positive somehow dampened by the fact that like no one's hitting chest to deck or like going full lockout at the bottom? But then I think the follow-up question there, because Matt Souza had a really good clip on his podcast, and he's obviously big into like the CrossFit space. He's like one of the guys in like the Saban circle of CrossFit. I think that there's an opportunity there for CrossFit or anyone to be a part of the conversation that, hey, if they are going to put this stuff out, like what are some standards? What should people be hitting? What's potentially like a scaling option for this test? Like
100%.
We have all that information. We have like a training methodology that like has been doing this for 10 years. Like, why isn't there like a natural partnering up there to actually standardize this and make this just a net benefit win. So anyway, that's the context. Let's have a good conversation about it. I'm excited.
Gabe, thanks for that intro, bro. You know, number one is I agree that this is a good thing no matter what. Any press about fitness is good press about fitness, I believe. Like I think the fact that we can't name who the last health and what was it? Health.
I can name her. It's Rachel Levine.
HHS. Oh, well, yeah, that's why we can name her. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I remember who the last person was, but who's the last person in the federal government who's talking about fitness besides Michelle Obama, right? Like Michelle Obama was probably the last person in government out there.
Last memorable for sure.
Yeah, most memorable for sure. Getting kids active. She was very, very high on that. And you know, I think having this as a main focus for both RFK and Pete Hegseth as something that they're both passionate about and want to get out there and think can improve the lives of American people by being fitter, faster, stronger, more capable, 100% we should be doing stuff like this. But I do think it's a huge miss to not have experts in there, movement experts in there, people who can connect with other people about, hey, what this might seem to be astronomical. This is what you do if you can't do a pull-up. Hey, this is what we're looking for from the push-up for our standard. And if you can't do that, you drop down to your knees and perform like this. I do think that stuff matters more so from the fact that, like, let's put out something that's like actually good for people, not overwhelming, that they can understand and they can get after, versus just saying like, hey, do 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups in 10 minutes and then just get it done. I see the value in just announcing it as something that we do now, which is cool. But why not have, you know, Jason, MDV, and Gabe there to be like, hey, yo, like, this is what we do. We're the experts in this. And I think it looks amateur hour from people who say that they want to help and say that they want to do all these great things, because in their areas of expertise, they call in experts all the time. Fitness is not their area of expertise per se.
Well, I think in this particular case, just to lay some context, I think it was just like a riffing challenge they just did. So like, I think in hindsight, if they had like sat around.
But there's responsibility when you are the head of HHS putting out a video.
Of course. All I'm saying is I think that the spirit of it was like, hey, dude, we're going to compete against each other in this, and let's just get some people to do it with us. I don't think they realized like people would gravitate towards this so much and be like, dude, this is a new standard that we're all trying to set across, name the thing. Like, I'm talking to the guys from Customs and Border Protection, and it's like a thing right now. Like, people are going to get behind this. And so to your guys' point, where I have an issue with this, so I love everything about this. I think that, yes, I'm going to do my part, and I hope everybody in the fitness space can do their part to try and identify ways to put together a program to help people achieve these goals, and also to create some type of runway so that people don't feel so intimidated. You know, 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups, especially the pull-ups, like, that's a very difficult task to do, especially regardless of the standard. Even if you're doing half pull-ups, that's hard. And so I think having a runway, making it, for lack of a better term, more inclusive, or at least like having a runway so that people feel like they could achieve it, I think is huge. The only gripe that I have is that on the video, if they're going to put out a standard and they're going to put out a standard time, they also need to associate with it a standard movement. Because if they're going to say there was a few gentlemen that were like in the 2-minute range, which is like incredible. Like, that's
no,
awesome.
There weren't.
Yeah, they were. And
2 minutes for 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups?
Yes.
Okay. I want to see the strict 50 pull-ups, and I want to see the 100 push-ups. And this is where it would start to get to me, that you have people running around saying I did 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm sorry. Listen, that's not even possible in CrossFit with your fastest kipping butterfly pull-up and doing 100 push-ups to a CrossFit standard. That's not possible.
Let's pause.
It's not possible. It's not possible.
Wait, hang on. Let's
it's
pause.
Not possible.
But it is possible if you're doing the stuff that was in that video.
That's 100% right.
So hang on. 50, can you do? Okay, that's a really interesting question. I think you could do 50 pull-ups kipping in a minute. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if you're at the highest level, James Hobart.
But could you do 100 push-ups in a minute? I don't think so.
No, you couldn't do, and you couldn't do them both consecutively like that.
Yeah,
there's no way to do. From the muscle exhaustion from either the pull-up or the push-up, I don't think there's a way to do this test
But if you're doing
in
this
2 minutes and 30 seconds, unless you're doing just like, unless you're doing the push-ups in your bedroom, like when your mom's telling you to go to bed without dessert and you're just like up there grinding it out, pumping the floor or whatever. Yeah, maybe.
But that's
okay.
what was going on in the video. That's the thing. That's why it's like possible, because it's like more like, chest
For
pumps.
sure. And I get it. That's where you'll start to see me step on the side of the aisle with people like Hiller and all that stuff, where I go, hey, if you're just doing this for fun and you don't want to post a score and you just want to say, hey, I tried this test and your reps look like that, all good. If you're going to go out there and say, hey, I have the fastest time in the world at this 50 and 100, then I'm going to look at your standards and I'm going to tell you it's nonsense if you're saying, hey, I did this in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I actually would be curious how long it would take you to get an MDV, because out of all people I know, I'm pretty sure the standard, like, I think the expectation is that the KIP for most, like for the general population, they don't even know what a KIP is. Like they would never even consider it, right? So I think it's a strict.
Yeah, so I would have said for this challenge to do whatever number of strict pull-ups and strict push-ups, and I'm talking good range of motion, I'm talking full lockout. Can you do them fast? Yeah, you can do them fast, but they can't look like shit. I would have just said, like, make this an AMRAP of 10 minutes and see how many reps you can get within 10 minutes. Why isn't that such a better test? Because now you don't have any capacity limits. You just have the capacity limit of what the person can do within 10 minutes. This is the reason why people who don't know strength and conditioning shouldn't put out tests like this. I mean, like, to put this out to the general public for 50 and 100 and say, all right, hey, let's try it, is kind of crazy. Whereas a 10-minute AMRAP, anybody, even if you're struggling to get like 3 pull-ups and like 70 push-ups, cool, you got 73 reps. That's way better, I think, in my opinion.
I still think net this is huge. This is a big positive. Like, I think that we're looking at it from a perspective. I think at the grand scheme of things, these guys just putting out a word like, dude, like RFK is like, I don't even know how old he is. What is he, like 70, Gabe? Like,
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, he's up there. I'm just saying, like, there's a standard to, like, if you're going to put something out and you're going to say, hey, we want to see your scores on this, then give me a little bit of context about, like, what's a good score and what's a bad score, like what's good movement, what's not great movement.
Yeah.
But 2 minutes and 30 seconds is not possible, my man, for whoever did that. I'm sorry.
I think there was 2 guys. I think I'd have to go watch the video. I think there was 2 guys in the 2-minute range, but they were,
was his name Chris Spieler? If it was Chris Spieler, then I'd say, okay, cool. Yeah, Spiel broke out of retirement and he did it. But
yeah, I'm very, very interested to see where this goes. So,
dude, can we get Chris Spieler? Can we get Chris Spieler on the home team pod one day talking about this?
Of course,
dude.
Of course. We should get Josh Bridges on too. I want to talk to him about some dad stuff. I was just actually, who I was talking to this morning was Savon, and Savon had like this sand thing. Have you guys seen this? It's like, instead of doing box jumps regular, you rebound on like this, like almost like sand looking like trampoline piece. I don't know. I saw a video of it. I thought it looked really cool and like dynamic, and it wasn't as much like tension on the Achilles. So I thought it'd be cool. So.
Yeah, the rebounding box jump when you're coming back down after that, like after the jump, the concentric to the eccentric is really, really tough on the Achilles sometimes.
Dude, that's why the step down is the only way to go.
I would agree. 100% of the time, doing rebounding box jumps, unless you're in a competition and the standard, you're allowed to rebound and go faster. But in the normal training environment, there's no reason to rebound your box jumps nearly at all, I don't think. I think jump up, step down.
Can you make any training case for rebounding box jumps?
Let me think about this for a second. For like the average person, I don't think so, because I think you can get that. I think you can get that rebound from doing things like double unders or jump rope.
Yeah,
I just don't think the risk is worth the reward there for multiple reasons. And I also think you can jump up and step down very fast. And this was proved in the women's competition on the 20-inch box throughout the history of the CrossFit Games, that it didn't matter if the women were jumping up and jumping down or jumping up and stepping down, that the cycle time was nearly the same on that smaller 20-inch box. On the 24-inch box, it did matter a little bit.
I saw a video from Mind Pump, and basically one of the co-hosts was saying that high rep box jumps are not a cardio tool. And I was intrigued by the video. I thought it was interesting. But basically, he was saying that, box jumps, quote unquote, in the CrossFit space have shifted the spirit of what a box jump was about, which was that dynamic strength training of kind of hinge, drive, hinge, pull the knees up. And which I could kind of relate to. I think that there's definitely a use case for it, jumping and stepping down. I think it's fine. But the way I'm using it currently, I've had some baseball players in the garage recently, and I've just been having them do like high box jumps for them versus like high rep.
Yeah, I think one of the main knocks on CrossFit in general across the traditional strength and conditioning community, and I don't know what the guys at I'm not saying that this is what the guys at Mind Pump think about CrossFit, but the traditional knock on CrossFit was that like barbell movements aren't meant to be cardio, or box jumps aren't meant to be cardio, that these things that existed for other training reasons kind of got bastardized when put into CrossFit workouts, and the need for speed on the cycle times of these movements has taken away from the actual, what they view as the actual quote unquote goal of the movement. So I think that there's just a difference of opinion and difference of methodology. I think within the CrossFit methodology, the goals are different. The goals in CrossFit generally are to accumulate more reps in a shorter amount of time, or to accumulate more reps faster than somebody else. And that's basically the goal of a CrossFit workout. It's about intensity and volume, mostly.
Yeah.
And mechanics.
The thing is, I get it though, but I think all these conversations always just come down to training age for me. Like whenever I think about that argument, right? Like the argument of, hey, the benefit of a box jump, the benefit of weightlifting movements is power, strength, so on and so forth. So if you're doing, a long chipper and, you're not able to do those with power, you're losing the effect, and they're not meant to be cardio movements. You can get that same cardio stimulus with something that's much lower impact. And talking about risk reward, if you want, whether it's a 10-minute anaerobic stimulus, you can do that on a C2 bike, you can do that on an assault bike, and the risk reward there is a lot lower than doing it with box jumps, deadlifts, push press, and so on and so forth. Same thing if you want a longer stimulus. You can do everything in a way that's just going to bash your body a lot less. But I think that the benefit is that for a lot of people that aren't able to hit intensity, it's a great way for them to do that in a way that's also very entertaining, in a way that's very interesting, in a way that keeps them motivated. But I think that once you get past like that 80% progress and you want the extra 20% and you do want to maximize, I don't see a way around the fact that like you will be less injury prone and get your results quicker if you're using the right tools for the right, specific stimulus. With the caveat always that if you just enjoy doing CrossFit and that's the thing that's going to keep you consistent, great, keep doing CrossFit. But if you're just like, hey, my goal is to get stronger, look better, get more powerful, so on and so forth, do the movements that are ideal for building power as they're intended. Do the movements that are ideal for building aerobic conditioning as intended. Like, I think that that's just been kind of proven pretty, the consensus is. But again, once you get past a certain training age, because once you're in that beginner moderate stage in your journey, you just have to work out. It doesn't really matter like what that looks like. You just have to work out and work out consistently, and you're going to get stronger, more powerful, fitter, better VO2 max, better aerobic conditioning by doing a mix of everything. But then you get to a point where you do kind of have to pick your lane and specialize.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about that, what you just said in regards to DC, Gabe, because, DC's now been at it almost 2 months, right? And I've had, in the beginning for the first, month, dude, really, I was just trying to give them compound, like some, basic EMOM, some AMRAPs, trying to like consolidate. Like I'm trying to give him things that I think he'll actually be able to be consistent with. And now once we start building in habits, once we start seeing consistency, I could be more progressive in nature. We could start being more, I guess, structured and whatever. But, for the first 45 days, it's like, what type of workouts can I have him do that in my heart, I believe he'll be able to accomplish as they're designed. Like, and for a lot of people, I think that's where CrossFit, I think, has changed the game, where it was just highly effective in a very short period of time. Then as your training age evolved, then I mean, Yeah. It's like, go ahead, NDV. Yeah.
No, I think CrossFit can be a long-term solution for people too. I think it's proved to be a long-term solution for people to constantly challenge them and to achieve their fitness goals, whatever those might be. And I think with the right approach and the right coaching, you can address weaknesses, and you can bias your programming, or you can bias your focuses. I think the tough part becomes when you're mixing it all together, and then just doing that kind of, I don't want to say blindly, but if you're just kind of like running off into the sunset, mixing it all together nonstop without taking your head out of water and looking around being like, hey, do I really want my back squat number to go up? What do I need to do if that's the case? And of course, the answer of a good CrossFit coach at that time should also be to say like, hey, maybe we need to add some strength accessory work, or we need to add a specific type of squat program into what you're doing that works around your other 3 to 4 days or 5 days a week of cross training. And I think that that's the appropriate way to have that conversation. If you're somebody who's in CrossFit and loves it and wants to continue it.
Yeah. I mean, most people would say the way I train is, I would say more times than not, CrossFit-ish, right? And I've been doing that for 20 plus years, and I love it. I do need to decide what I'm going to do after Master Worlds. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. One idea I had, I'm curious what you guys think. Okay, I'll ask you guys.
Let's go.
I weigh right now 219, right? I probably should weigh 217 by Thursday of next week, right?
You can weigh 217 by the end of this podcast, bro.
Yeah. So,
oh, what are you doing?
So it's fine.
You could literally weigh 217 in like 2 hours if you needed to. Two pounds is nothing.
Yeah, go get in that, nothing, especially when you weigh,
especially when you weigh 219, right? Yeah. I can go get a haircut and lose like an ounce, but yeah, nonetheless, I'm trying to figure out what the goal should be. So I'm thinking about signing up for the tactical games in October, but so this jiu-jitsu tournament's like in a week. I'm pretty big right now. I'm bigger than I'd probably want to be. I'm a little, I don't want to use the word chubby, but I'm a little bit bigger than I probably would want to be, right?
Chubby Khalipa.
It's probably not the right term. I can't, you're on mute, MDV, if you're trying to talk.
Sorry, I was talking to Boots in the background. She's going crazy.
Oh. But I'm trying to decide what I want to do after Master Worlds. And part of me thinks that I could get, so like I told you guys, I had not been under 200 pounds since before high school. Part of me wants to try and see if I can get there before I turn 40, but that would be like a month, which seems a little excessive. It seems like unnecessary.
What would be the reason for getting under 200? Just to see what you feel and look like at under 200?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of messing around with goals. I mean, I'm just thinking that this is relatable to people listening, like just kind of like thinking through, hey, what's inspired? I'm just curious, like, what would you guys do if you're me? I mean, otherwise I'll just stay on my course, but I'm trying to think if there's something I want to do. You know, I have two options. One is I could try and see if I can get below a weight number, because I've never been able to do that for all these years. The other would be just stay the course, keep doing what I'm doing, and get ready for tactical games. So I don't know, trying to decide.
Well, we have cycle 2 of Train Hard Daily, which is coming up, and I think it's a cool opportunity to, like, those workouts can lean the way that you want them to lean. Like if you wanted to get a little bit more powerful, or if you, exactly what Gabe was talking about before. So your program, right, through Train Hard Daily and the Train Hard app right now, like, you know better than I, it's structured on a weekly blueprint. And we can take that weekly blueprint and we can notch it up in some areas, or we can notch it down in other areas. Like if we wanted to become really dynamic and fast, like the sprint conditioning can ratchet up. If you wanted to add in or layer in like a pure strength cycle for back squat or power clean, you could do that as well. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do in a general physical preparedness program to like bias your results one way or the other. You know, ultimately, I think if you're looking like physique related goals, especially if they were kind of pure weight loss goals, which, like, if you're going from 219, you like the goal is to get below 220. That's pretty much below 200. That's pretty much a pure weight loss goal, in my opinion. I don't think that you're going to be eating for bulk. You're going to be eating for cut. And I think that that's going to be nutrition mostly at that point. I don't know if Gabe has a different point of view, but like
I was cracking up because this is still in the background.
Yeah, that's like Gabe, break out the charts, bro.
Oh, dude, by the way, that was like the best purchase ever because I'm using it for like some of this content I want to do. And then I go back in the house and I'm like, who wants to draw with the paper? And then the kids just go ham with markers. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, man, I mean, losing that much weight in that little time, I mean, MDV it's just going to be you're just starving yourself for lack of a better term.
It's doable, but it's not healthy.
Yeah, it's doable. But like for someone that cares so much about performance, which I know you do, you know, is it going to be tough? Yes. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those things where you're not even really doing it in the gym. You're just going to like, you know, skip a meal every day. And, you know,
multiple meals.
If that's something that, you know, you want to do, because I mean, you will maintain muscle because you're just a big guy and you're still going to be training. Like you'll look hella diced. Like you will look like much leaner and ripped than you have probably in a while. And I mean, I think that's really fucking cool, but I don't think you have to do it in a month to not have to have the trade-off necessary with just how you feel. Honestly, like skipping meals with the family or just having to make choices that you probably don't want to do. Like it's going to be
the family stuff would be complicated for you, bro. I'll tell you right now, if you're going to put a goal out there that's going to say, hey, in the next month, I want to lose 20 pounds just to get below 200. I don't think, knowing what you've talked about already with some of the stuff that's gone on, I don't think it's like the right stated goal for you. I think if you're like, hey, I want to lose like 5 pounds and see what my body looks like with like 5 pounds less fat on it, or mostly 5 pounds less, mostly fat, that's cool. But like just to scrape for a month to get below 200 from 219, I don't think it's worth it. I think you'll be miserable.
And that right there, dude, is good perspective, right? And I think these are the type of conversations that people need to have about their goal setting, though, because it's not all there's pros and cons. I think the biggest one for me would be if I were to try and set out that goal just because I think it'd be cool, it would impact at the house, which I won't allow to happen. So yeah, maybe I try and pursue it longer. I don't know, I'll come up with something and I'll share it on the podcast. I like having something like, I like the jiu-jitsu tournament that I have. I like having something I'm like, all right, dude, like the tactical games I'm really excited about. You know, the last time I did okay, but I learned a lot. So maybe it'll be that.
Dude, you can have a lot of fun, man. We could add some sandbag finishers we can get some sandbag stuff going in cycle 2 of Train Hard Daily, which would be really cool. I think like that as an option would be really, really great. You know, the sand programs were really, really well received by the Train Hard community. So I think getting that sandbag involved, if one of your goals is the tactical games, I think that would be a really good move. Yo, did you guys see the video do you guys know Dr. Mike from
Israel? Of course.
Yeah. Did you guys see the video of him talking about the plastic surgery?
The one that he got?
Yeah.
Have you seen the pictures, dude?
Wait,
dude,
what?
So first of all, it's such a super interesting video. So he's talking to another guy named Dr. Mike. But there's I guess it's two Dr. Mikes talking to each other, and producer Liz, I'm sorry, isn't here today because I think she would have been able to pull it up really quickly. But Dr. Mike Israel, the guy from RP Strength and Nutrition, was talking very candidly about all the different types of surgeries that he's had, plastic surgeries that he's had, and plastic surgeries that he's considering in the future. And I legitimately didn't know if this video was
like AI generated.
Was it AI generated, or was it like a spoof type of video? Because when I was watching it, bro, I was like, this almost doesn't seem. And no shade on anybody who's out there going to do whatever they want to do with their own money to their own body, and if they're not hurting anybody else, whatever. But to hear it being talked about from somebody who like has
what did he say he's got to do?
Well, he has a pretty base perspective on this stuff. Like I always looked at his videos and was like, wow, this guy's super knowledgeable and like very reasonable. And this seemed to be a little bit more like, it felt unreasonable to me, just how deeply he was talking about like the different intricacies of like the little surgeries he's going to have to improve the very minor things about his physique, which is maybe major to him, but from the perspective of me watching it, it was an interesting video. but male plastic surgery to enhance your physique was kind of like the topic overall of the conversation that I saw.
It's like a huge trend now. Huge trend.
No.
Cosmetic surgery for sure. I mean, it's the natural result.
A very, very fast growing trend. I wouldn't say a huge trend, but like it used to be that plastic surgery was like, I don't know, I can look it up. I'll look it up quick, but it was like, to give you numbers, like 90-10 male-female split, and it's evened up significantly. Dude, with a lot of men.
Look it up. I'm really curious, Gabe, because by the way, Mike says some crazy stuff on podcasts sometimes. Like, dude, I watched this one clip of him talking about like some type of porn or something, and dude, he was like, it was just, he says some wild things, but he also is super knowledgeable. Like, we've had him on the show a while ago, right, Gabe? It was like probably like a year ago. Okay, so what are the statistics? I imagine the largest use of plastic surgery, I could be wrong, would probably be female breast enhancement, I would imagine.
Well, I just looked it up really quickly here on good old ChatGPT, and it says, in short, cosmetic surgery for men has risen about 20 to 30% over the past decade, with the sharpest rise in non-surgical treatments since 2020.
Yeah.
So what are guys getting done? Are we talking about like hair transplants? Are we talking about like, what are they getting done? Like, are they getting their biceps bigger?
Well, the video that I saw...
Calf implants are huge.
Dude, remember that was like a big
Entourage. Remember that movie Entourage? Like, yeah.
Well, dude, I remember there was an MTV back in the day. There was an MTV show that followed this guy around who was like a super like jacked Northeast bodybuilder type of guy, like having summers at the Jersey Shore. I believe that was like the context, and he was obsessed with getting calf implants. Like that was his number one goal, was to get calf implants.
That's why it was either that or it was on Entourage. Like Johnny Drama wanted calf implant. I don't remember.
They might have played off of that that topic for Entourage, because this was like at the time when MTV was putting out like reality programming that was like hitting like the pop culture charts pretty high. I remember this guy being obsessed with calf implants.
Huh.
But Dr. Mike was talking about lipo essentially around his love handles.
So top surgery, he got it done. In that interview. Yeah, dude. The post-surgery, wild. But anyway, rhinoplasty. So nose jobs, eyelid surgery are the most common for men. Liposuction is pretty common. And then actually male breast reduction.
Wait, what's an eyelid?
I've seen a lot of people. So people don't like, some people get like an extra kind of like little fold in their eyelid. Like they have essentially like saggy eyelids. And it makes you look significantly older. Yeah. And then if you just get rid of that, it kind of like helps your whole face look a little bit younger.
Okay.
There's a lot of videos on social media about that.
Okay. Yeah, that's really
I mean, I didn't see the before and after pictures of the liposuction that he was talking about, but he was talking about essentially like having a waist that's pretty snatched, like having a really, really slim waist. And dude, the comments on the video, I was more intrigued by the comments on the video because the comments are
Were they bashing him?
It's like a mix. It's like a 50-50 mix of people saying like, hey, I'm glad that you're able to talk about this so honestly and share your feelings and thoughts on this. And then there's a lot of comments about body dysmorphia. And there's comments about like body dysmorphia not only being a female issue, but it's a male issue. And just to be honest, again, I'm not throwing any shade at Dr. Mike for what he wants to do with his money and his time and his body, but watching that video, it gave me a little bit of like a strange feeling. Like, I'm just talking about my own reaction to it because of how cavalier the conversation was about, I'm going to get this surgery to take care of this like really kind of more minor thing. But if it's not minor, it might be minor to me, but it's not minor to him. So I understand that there's nuance and context there, but it was an interesting video to watch. And I'll try to send it to you guys, and maybe we can also post it in the show notes to have people take a look at it. Because I did think it was like really telling about just like how far you can take things once you have the means to do so.
Yeah, like, and I imagine once you start, I've heard this before. Like once you start, it's probably hard to stop. I mean, I've never gotten I mean, I broke my nose and they had to do some stuff. I don't think that's like plastic surgery. So I don't know, but like, I've never had like chosen plastic surgery, but I wonder if it's similar to like getting tattoos, because I don't have any tattoos either. But I imagine like once you get started, maybe then you kind of keep moving. I don't know.
Well, I think it could be addictive for sure. I mean, there's plenty of cases out there. There's whole TV shows about being addicted to plastic surgery, right? And then there's those famous two French guys who have had the most plastic surgery that you could ever imagine. And there was a before and after picture recently that I saw of those two guys where it was like, this is what they look like prior to any surgeries, and now this is what they look like, almost comically so you wouldn't believe that it's real what they look like now. But the immediacy of the result, I think, is what can drive a lot of this. Like, you go in for something, especially tattoos are the same way. You go in with a vision, and then you come out and it's on your skin. And you're like, wow, that happened in the span of a couple of hours, a little bit of pain, and now I get the thing that I want. I think with body adjustments or like cosmetic surgeries, it's probably even ratcheted higher, because you're taking your body from a place that you wanted it, where it is, to where you wanted it to be pretty instantaneously. Obviously, there's a swelling period and all this kind of stuff afterwards, but I'm curious your guys' thoughts.
But I think that less so even than like it being addictive. I think that it's the fact that like once you break a barrier and become someone that does the thing, you're just that it becomes that much easier by definition to just do the thing again, because now you're a thing. And I'll give you a perfect example. Sure. For me, like, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would ever inject myself with something, I would be like, no, right? Because it's like, that's like steroids. It's stuff that's like super bad for you. Like, no, I would never be someone that does something like that on my own. Enter peptides. I've done BPC 157. I've spoken about it here. I had it in my fridge. I had the syringes in my cupboard. I was doing it like, kids were there. My wife is there. Like, and the first time it was definitely weird. Like, you're pulling a syringe out and injecting yourself with something. It's something that, like, I'll openly admit, like, felt strange, felt like you were doing something you shouldn't be doing, just because there is this stigma. But now that I've done that, now that I've done BPC 157, I haven't tried any other peptides per se, but I know that now, like, the barrier of trying something down the line, eventually doing TRT, like whatever that thing means, it's so much lower barrier of entry for me, because I've already crossed that thing where, like, I've injected myself with something, like it's not that it was a big step to take in the beginning, but it just becomes not a big step. And I'm sure it's the same thing. The analogy I'm trying to make here is, I'm sure the same thing when, like, it's a big deal to say, like, hey, I'm going under the knife to change something selective about me. Then you do it once and you're like, well, I did it once. Like, it just becomes that much easier. You also probably now have a relationship with a plastic surgeon. You understand the process, so on and so forth. I can see it become something where it's not that you're addicted to it. It's just that now you're just someone that does that.
Well, could you be addicted to the results? You probably could be addicted to the results, right?
Sure, but like,
maybe not addicted to the procedure, but you're like addicted to the feeling of like, oh, I'm going to get this thing that's going to improve the way that I look, and I'm going to be a better person because of it.
Yeah, for me, the word like addicted to it just means that it controls you. You don't control it. And there's so much gray area there, right? But I think it's less that, like, it's just you're still making the decision. It's just that much of an easier decision to make versus like it controls you and you're going to do it every single time without, any sort of thinking. And it also now, another thing that at least in my mind, addiction kind of like comes with is like it negatively impacting your life.
Well, I mean, the way that this could go, it doesn't have to go this way, but like you could say this with anything, right? Like you could say, hey, I started doing fitness and fitness has really improved my life. So I want to continue to do fitness. I'm going to ratchet it up a little bit, but then you can take it to the complete unhealthy end, right? You can take anything to an unhealthy end. Do you think that, Gabe, this is an interesting question. Do you think that things like BPC 157 and TRT could be gateway drugs, quote unquote, like gateway drugs for things like, oh, now I'm going to do tren, or now I'm going to do, whatever else I can find that's going to get me bigger, faster, stronger, not to steal Mike Bell's movie title, but it's appropriate. That whole movie's about it. That whole movie's about the chase to be bigger, faster, stronger once you started to do enhanced substance, or once you started
Chris
using
Bell.
enhanced substance.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, Chris Bell. Sorry, Chris Bell, not Mike. Mike Bell was their brother who passed away. Yeah. You know, in that documentary, Bigger, Faster, Stronger, fantastic movie. They chronicle that as well, and the addiction that comes from it, not only with steroids, but with opioids for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the short answer is yeah, of course, right? For the same reason that I was just saying, like you're now one step closer, one barrier closer to something that, okay, now the science on this is a little bit more divided, but there's still like a benefit there. Yes, there's a risk, but there's a risk with this other thing. I think that, yes, I do think that like my biggest concern with peptides and TRT specifically is the fact that a lot of guys are getting on it super, super young. And I think that that's where it's super, super dangerous because you're just like, you're not mature yet. Like before 25, like your brain isn't even
You think
developed
that's
yet.
a thing, Gabe? You think
100% it's a thing. It was
not
talked
the
about
peptide,
at
not the peptide side, but like the TRT side.
Yes. Yeah. It was
Really?
talked about at length on the Rogan and Derek More Plates, More Dates episode, where now, because this stuff is so much more accessible, like before, if you were like a young bodybuilder that wanted a little bit of help, you had to get the sketchy guy to get you some tren. Now, like you can sign up for telehealth, and there's so many companies out there that are, you know, like making this stuff just a little bit more available. Like you don't have to jump through all the hoops, and then these guys get on it, and because they're not doing it with the guidance of a medical professional, because they're not doing it because they need it. You don't need TRT at 20 to 25. I mean, maybe even like the very rare case, something happened, numbers tanked, you can benefit from it. But if you're just trying to do it to get the performance enhancement in the gym, you're also now a 20, 25-year-old that has stunted your body's ability to create its own testosterone. And that becomes like a physical addiction and just an addiction. And that's where I think that it is a gateway drug because you're just so young, man, and it's tough to come out of. But it's complicated, man.
My gut tells me also that the number of parents that have put their sons on testosterone to enhance their performance for sports is probably not zero.
It's definitely not zero.
It's not zero.
It's definitely not zero.
It's not, I mean, let's be honest, right?
It's
like,
definitely not zero.
If all this, if we're saying like all the gear that they want to buy, all the camps that they want to send their kids to, I'm going to try to get my son to make the varsity football team. I would guarantee you there's some highly, I'm going to say, quote unquote, motivated parents out there that have started to get their kids on a little bit of TRT here.
Put it this way. In my world, I haven't heard that yet. I do think
it's not zero.
Yeah, it's not. Of course, it's not. There's nothing ever zero. Like there's millions of people or whatever. But
not zero.
I do think that things do change. At least for me, and I know for Ashley too. When we had children, definitely my mindset shifted. I imagine if I didn't have children, I'd probably be more open-minded to some selective surgeries, perhaps. But for me, it's like if I'm gonna get taken down, like. The way I'm going to get taken down is not from me doing something I'm not prepared to go skydiving. I'm not prepared to go bungee jumping. And I'm not prepared necessarily at my point today to do selective surgery. I know other people, they do what they want to do. It's just kind of like a switch flipped for me. Like that I want to, of course I do some dangerous things, but it's within like the realm that I find appropriate for myself. I think everybody's got to do that. But I know for me, once the kids showed up, man, my mindset shifted a little bit. So,
I think all this stuff is a personal decision.
Of course.
It's a personal decision. As long as you're not hurting somebody else, and as long as you're of like sound mind and body and you want to take your money and go do whatever you want with it, okay, cool.
Dude, I will say though, MDV,
go do it.
I mean, bro, I've been watching guys lately through the men's club that, it's taking a little bit of time. I was talking to Justin Casas actually, who I sent you guys the photos of him, and he said that like it was like over like a year span or whatever, and for the first couple of months, like he was good, and then he got, he didn't not much change, and then all of a sudden it just started like really kicking into gear, and he leaned out.
Yeah.
So your body could definitely. For all the guys out there who are interested or even debating about,
Justin's also been putting in. Yeah, I talked to Justin quite a bit on the DM. So Justin, shout out Justin Casas, had one of the the biggest transformations here of the Train Hard Men's Club or the Train Hard app for sure, dude. Dude looks incredible. Arms are just pumped all the time. I know he's taking
it's his grip.
Dude, I know he's taking those bands out to the beach and doing some banded curls before he's getting on Instagram.
I talked to him
I'm
this
calling you
morning.
out on this, Justin.
No, I talked to him this morning. So I didn't know this, but dude, he tests his grip strength in the mornings just like you do, Gabe. And he has one in his car. He told me that
he's listening to the podcast, bro.
Dude, he told me he does 250 a day because he's driving, and he just switches off between his right hand and left hand. No wonder his forearms look so vascular. I had no idea. So
we're out here influencing nonstop, bro. He's got the grip in the car. He's testing his grip in the morning. But for real, I want to give Justin a shout out and say Justin's been paying attention to his nutrition. I know he's been following the Train Hard 5 nutrition protocols. I know he's working out with the Train Hard app. I know he's showing up to the men's club. And whatever else he's choosing to do, that's fine for him. But his results have been amazing. And I want to let Justin Casas know that, like, bro, we're proud of you. You had probably the best transformation out of anybody.
Beast.
Yeah, it looks like he looks incredible, bro.
I'm getting one of those grip things too.
I love those grip things. They're so just old school.
But the one he has, it actually counts when you squeeze it. It counts for you. So not like the old school metal prong one. This one, as you squeeze it, once it hits a certain range, it hits 1, 2, 3, which I thought was kind of cool because at the end of your drive, dude. Speaking of driving, I've been driving a ton. I could just start doing that.
There you go. On your way to DC, that would be really good for you to do on your way to DC, to go up and have your grip completely exhausted by the time you get there.
I will not.
Try to grab onto Daniel Cormier with a weak grip. He's going to fuck you up.
I have, how long do I have? DC. I should take a picture and share it. But I have I think 2 months of data now from grip testing every single morning. Dude, and it's been fascinating, man. I love geeking out on this stuff, and I love geeking out on it even more when I feel and see it. But for anyone that missed when I originally talked about it, so it's long been understood, and this is kind of super old school, before Whoop, before anything, one of the best signs of training readiness from a central nervous system perspective, because obviously there's mornings where you're going to be super sore, muscles are super fatigued, that completely different. But in terms of how ready your central nervous system is to actually take on some training, your grip strength is a really good indicator of that, especially first thing you wake up in the morning. And everyone's had that experience where there are some days where you just try and make a fist and it feels like you just can't squeeze. It's so weird. You just feel weak. And that tends to correlate very, very well with how fresh you are from a nervous system perspective. So 3 days in a row when I was fresh, before I kind of started the heat of this training block for my half Ironman, I did 3 days first thing in the morning. So I do a warm-up squeeze, then I do 2 squeezes max effort, and I take the better of the 2 numbers, and that's my number for the day. Took 3 days to establish my baseline, so you just average those 3 days out. And now every single day I measure it, and I have an Excel sheet that does the quick little math for me. I put the number in, and if it's within 95 to 100% of that baseline, it's green, good to train. If it's within 90 to 94%, it's yellow. It's just kind of all right, if you have a couple of those days in a row, maybe you should, adjust training or take an extra rest day or something. And then anything below 90% is red. It's a pretty good indicator that you're due for a rest day. And the way that those have correlated with when I am due for a rest day, or after a really long week of training, or, and this makes total sense, nights when the kids are sick, or you just don't get good sleep, has been now to the T. And it's just been good data to, at least for someone that has a personality type that I have, where I hate adjusting the plan, and I really struggle with hey, but this was written on paper, and doing anything different. It's been really helpful for me to not feel on some days where I know that I'm just not ready to do the really hard tempo run or whatever, to have something objective kind of back up how I'm feeling. Because I'll be the first to just be you're being a pussy, go do it.
Yeah.
But instead kind of be a little smarter about it. And I think it's been really, really beneficial. Because, man, I've shared this on the podcast. My biggest goal with this race, and the whole reason that I shifted from the marathon goal to this, is just I kept getting banged up. I kept doing really good work, getting close to the actual event, And then like something happened and I wasn't even getting to the start line. I've adjusted now. I skipped a marathon last January, and then I was supposed to do a marathon in a week here in September. And I've had to pivot both of those plans to this half Ironman in October. And now, knock on wood, 5 weeks out, feeling really good. And I'm just like super confident that we're going to get there to the start line, fit, but also just like healthy, not in pain, and hopefully crush the race. So hasn't been just a grip test. I mean, you can never attribute it to one thing, but it's been helpful for sure.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those things for the car, for sure. It's just a nice, like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, Gabe is one of the people who I think, follows programs to the exact T. I think personality type is very interesting to me because, Gabe's got the Excel spreadsheet with the standard deviation off of his like baseline squeeze rate.
I will definitely not be doing that.
Bro, I couldn't do that. It wouldn't fit my personality type. But like I notice when I go to squeeze that thing that's in my truck, there are some days I can't squeeze that thing closed. And there are other days I can get like 10 where it's like clinking on the metal on both sides of the 150-pound like resistance one. And I think that you can pay attention to data like that as well, where it's like, this feels way off of what I can normally do. And on days like that, if you're feeling way off, probably not the best day to go at your hardest session. And then on days when you feel like, dude, I got 10 of these in a row and you're feeling good, maybe a good day to go chase it pretty hard in the gym.
Yeah, you see that in jiu-jitsu too, right? If you're wearing a gi and you're exhausted, it gets more and more challenging to grip onto somebody's gi. Like obviously your grip gets burnt out because you're holding on to people, but like when you get really fatigued, your hands start to go a little bit numb. You lose some of that dexterity. You see the correlation that we're talking about here in jiu-jitsu, in particular in a gi, because you're grabbing on like cloth. No gi. Sure, I'm sure it's similar, but it's different because you're not trying to grip on a cloth.
Yeah, they're not as important to the game in no-gi. Grips are nearly everything in gi jiu-jitsu.
Well, especially judo too. I mean, okay, so gentlemen, look, we got exciting stuff coming up here at Train Hard. We have new cycles coming to the Train Hard app. We have just phenomenal programs available from No Time for BS. We have the Train Hard Daily, and of course we have Flex as well. These programs are just proven. Like, that's the bottom line. They're proven. I mean, they're proven from, everyday guys going getting after it. They're proven from the men's club. They're proven from military and law enforcement groups. I mean, you name it, they're proven. But the only way that they're proven is by starting. And so if you're out there and you got sent this podcast, or you've been listening to our podcast for a while and you're kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, dude, just make the decision that you want to start training and just follow a program, even 3 days a week. If you do it 3 days a week, I guarantee you that in a span of 30, 45 days, you'll really start to see mental and physical gains, right? Mainly because you told yourself you want to do something, you're going to go out there and achieve. And I think that's part of what this podcast is about. Like when I asked the question, like, hey, should I try and drop this? And we're having a conversation about it. It's more just like, dude, I'm just trying to set goals and chase them. And it's like, if you haven't done that for yourself in your own fitness, set the goal of joining the Train Hard app, doing 3 days a week of training of one of our programs, and do that for 45 days and message us and stay committed on the community tab. Because on the other side of that discomfort, on the other side of that decision to join the app, that decision to wake up tomorrow and go train, there's going to be this fulfillment that is really going to be something special for you. So if you haven't felt that in a long time, join us. We're here to support you. Hit us up anytime, because you're not alone in that fight to kind of like be a better version of yourself, because we're all on the same path. Should we close out the podcast there? All right.
Perfect ending.
On that note, make sure to check out the podcast show notes. Make sure to check out the Train Hard app and join us along that journey to be the best versions of ourselves. Let's go.